semi-private dance lessons with Nora Ray and Judy Lewis. Broke her arm. I was staying with her. So our semi-private was private, and I could have killed her. I never forgave her. I saw her a while back, and I told her I never have forgiven her. It's a horrible experience.
How did she break her arm?
Falling down roller skating.
She did.
A lot of
right
them broke their arms.
Yes.
No wonder I didn't. I never was.
That was
good
a famous dance hall in this day.
Oh, yeah.
When my
Can you
mother was
list all of the bands that were there? Diamond and I
gosh.
try to remember which ones were there. We saw several.
There was quite a few
But,
big name bands, and I can't
oh,
think of
yeah.
one right. Tommy
Johnny
Dorsey
Cash
was there.
was down
Was he
there.
really?
Maddox
Dorsey
Brother
was
and
there one
Rose, Lefty Frizzell, Fair and Young.
Yeah.
Doesn't Gary Nygaard have a bunch of
Ray
posters
Price,
there?
I think, might have been there. Oh gosh, a lot of the old ones.
Yeah,
You know,
big name bands. came
Big
from
name,
Spokane.
really
Yeah.
big name.
Was it George
And my
Jones?
mother
Texas
was,
Tyler.
Not at
Maddox
the old
Brothers,
dance
no.
hall, but well, at the big round hall. My mother was secretary treasurer of the Kennedy Ford Grange, and the Grange put those dances on. They did the work,
Somebody that
and they
was-
lined them all up with 3 days and 3 nights, and they had foot races in the morning, and they had then there was carnivals, always a carnival there. And then in the afternoon it would be baseball. Eventually it turned to
Then
rodeo.
pulling your teeth time.
And that was down at Kennedy Ford.
And that was
Yeah.
at Round Hall, the big
Yeah.
Round Hall,
Yeah.
in Kennedy Ford. The other one is Kennedy Ford too. But then at night, of course, they had these dances, and I can remember Mother, it was a ticket for a man and a lady, not a, the ladies didn't pay. And there were 450 tickets sold at that dance. That was over 800 people.
It was, the one at Riverside was always just packed, and they
Right,
had cars
right.
lying clear up the hill and clear down to the bridge and both sides of the highway, the parking lot clear full.
Well, the roundhouse then was the
round-
second.
The Round Hall was down here by the bridge now.
Where
Uh-huh.
that barn
I've
is.
seen pictures of that, but I've never seen any of the one down.
I haven't either.
But the
seen
old one, back of
I haven't
the
either.
Kennedy Ford Grange Hall.
I didn't know it was there.
Yes,
It's
it was a
interesting.
big dance hall. That's where I learned to dance.
It's like Bobby
And,
Nygaard had some of those.
Mother and Dad would dance, and Earl and I would get out behind them, and we'd follow them, and we'd mock them. We'd do what they did. In fact, they swore I was going to get born on the dance floor at the Kennedy Ford Grange Hall. But the old Grange dances, we used to have a Grange meeting every 2 weeks, and then they had dances every Saturday night or Friday night. And they would pack kids,
Oh, yeah. I've been
kids
to-
and
The whole
kids and
family
kids.
would go.
And they had this bunkhouse in the back end of it. Well, it was the big hall, and then alongside was the kitchen, and the back end of that was kind of a bunk room. And they'd pile all these kids in there with everybody's coats. And everybody danced till 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning.
That's a monster.
By maybe a violin, or a piano and a violin, or a piano and the drums, or whatever. And my mother used to chord to those. And that's where I learned to chord, and I could go up and chord so Mother could dance once in a while. And, they had masquerade dances, lots of masquerade dances. I got a prize one time, and I thought I was Queen Victoria. We just grew up that way. And then later at the old Round Hall, my dad worked in the kitchen there, and boy, he made sure that I got to the dances. I would have a date, and if they didn't show up by 9:30, he came home to get me. And he worked and paid for us kids to go in and dance, and we just grew up there, clear through high school.
Now, he cooked there?
He worked in the kitchen. So
And what they served then in the...
hamburgers or
Oh, just whatever. You go out and buy something and...
yeah, it was for the public.
Uh-huh.
They had a regular kitchen there, you fried hamburgers.
Worked up an appetite for that dancing. My
But
mother
these-
wouldn't let me go to dances. So I'd spend Friday night, go home with Ardella Kinman on Friday night on the bus, and then we'd go to the dances on Saturday night. Harvard or Princeton, where her mother liked to dance.
What Mom didn't know.
Yeah.
We've all been to Harvard, Princeton. I even went to Kennedy Ford many years ago.
Oh,
that was
yes.
a long time
I
ago.
never went there, just Princeton
In
or
Riverside.
Harvard.
Did you ever go to the Onaway dances? When they had the old A.C. Smith played in the old dance hall in Onaway?
Where was the dance hall in
Let's see.
Onaway?
Oh, it was up over the top of a building.
I
Probably
was
Aunt
too
Betty
young.
or Naomi or somebody
Yeah.
to tell you about that dance hall, but I can remember Palouse was a big shopping day on Saturday night. All the farmers went to Palouse on Saturday night. You might have a nickel and buy 3 pieces for a penny or something, and that would be a bunch of candy for all the kids, you know, for our 3 anyway. And then when I got into high school, Vic Anderson had an open Ford, and he would have us hang on to that thing. Any place we could hang on to, and he would drive us to Onway to the dance. And I mean, we came up the highway just like ants in a mold, and on a mound. He just brought the whole works, anybody could hang on.
Lucky nobody got
Like,
hurt.
yeah, right. He didn't go that
I
fast.
was gonna say, it probably didn't go that fast in those days, you'd fall off.
It seemed to me like it was all gravel road too, so you didn't
Oh,
travel
yeah,
very
everything was
fast then.
gravel then.
Yeah. Yeah, they had big dances in Onway then. And they didn't have fights, we didn't have that kind of stuff. I can remember Kennedy Ford Grange having public dances. And the O'Reillys, I'll tell the stories on my own family. But they liked their beer, but you couldn't have it down there. No way. If you got caught, there was a sheriff, his name was Jordan. And
Oh,
he was
yeah.
always patrolling everywhere, you know.
Len Jordan?
And
No,
so-
he was governor. He was governor.
No, I remember Jordan.
So that, yeah, but this is
Hat
another
Moody, I
Jordan.
remember Hat Moody.
This is Sheriff Jordan. But anyway, the kids would have their beer, but they stashed them in the squirrel holes.
Now, where was this? You couldn't have it
Down
at
Kennedy
Onway?
Ford Grange.
Oh, Kennedy Ford, you couldn't have it.
Well, you weren't supposed to have it in the Grange Hall.
No,
either,
oh, no,
but
oh, no.
The beer parlor in Princeton was just down the street, and the one in Harvard was just next door, so that's, they used to
Yeah.
get liquored up.
We always got a kick out of those guys that on, when they have an intermission or break or something, they head for the squirrel holes.
I never heard that.
Well, Eileen Reynolds, Clayton, Norman Reynolds' parents played for the dances.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
went to many of their
Many
dances.
years, yeah.
Mhm.
He played
Oh, yes.
violin, she played piano, and I think they had drums too.
What kind of cost was there to go to a dance like that? I mean,
Oh,
did
Quarter?
you pay?
was it 25 cents?
That was before I wasn't.
25, would it be,
about-
would 25 cents might have been too high. 10 cents?
I never had any money, somebody must have paid my way, I don't know.
We used to have
I
10
don't
cent
remember.
dances though, too. I can remember having a
Well,
10 cent
this
dance.
is some
You had to
questions
pay
you
10
could-
cents to dance with somebody?
This is some questions you could ask the Gambettis, you know, about the dance hall, where it was and how much it cost to get in.
It was really interesting to talk to when I called about the ashtray that he knew nothing about. One thing he'd tell me, it was that Dan Walther's father, you know, had a foundry in there for a while.
He had it at his place down here.
Oh, see, he told me he had one up here too, on the flat.
Well, where they
But-
live, on the flat.
Well, no, up here by the,
You're in town?
he said the only, well, maybe I
I did.
misunderstood him, because he said
Yeah.
the only foundry I know about is the one that, what's his name, Walter had.
What's his name? Bush. Bush.
Bush
yeah.
Waltzer,
It was
yeah.
right at his place. I
Yeah, I
think.
knew he had, that old building was,
Yeah.
yeah.
Isn't that where Dan Walter lives now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that old building's part of it,
Yeah.
the one that's fallen down.
And he
Yeah.
had a foundry in there, and what did he make in there?
I don't know, whatever you make in a foundry, that you probably, but see, that's where that ashtray was supposed to come, a foundry that was right here, made out of pot metal. And I haven't seen very many of them, but there's, I mean, right off the top of my head, I know where there's 4 or 5 of them, like Karen and Bonnie, my brother-in-law. They all have one, and he
Maybe
found that
she
one
knows
at that
East
auction, I
Cove.
got one.
West
East,
Cove.
West Cove, I know, is Bob Lindsay and myself, probably.
I don't know what Violet went to, but I will ask her, I'll go over Friday night. I don't know if I was gonna go, but I will go.
So what are some other questions we could ask Violet?
I don't know, I'll get her talking, she'll probably answer anything.
No, she did. No, what?
Yeah, and she's still really sharp. I don't know, what would you want, I don't know what you'd want me to ask her. She gets to reminiscing someplace, but you just have to tell me. Special events.
Should get my Aunt Goldie to tell her about that West Coast school, she might remember.
Well, here,
Where did she,
this thing she's got here's not too bad. Events, economic conditions, your entertainment, how you live,
What goes on all these things?
the depression. I can't think what else you'd want me to ask her.
West Coast School, I was trying to think of somebody that was the East Coast School. Dorothy Larson would have. Dorothy Larson would have gone there.
if she
My mother
doesn't want
taught out
to
there. Bobby
do
Nygaard
all this,
taught
then I
out there.
will.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
Bobby Nygaard went to
If
school
you
to my
want to
mother
just
out
ask her
there.
the questions and fill it in for her, that's fine.
Probably writes better than I do, but I will.
Yeah.
And then if she wants, she's got a notebook there, if she thinks of things, I'll have her write them down.
Okay.
That she'll be, I think she'll have time. They keep her so busy out there.
Now the CCC, Alfred talks about Avery, he was at Avery. Do you want something like that, or do you want, I don't know where else they had a camp around here.
I think they had one up on Big Creek.
Yeah, right up past
Diane
where,
Nagel used to talk about the one on Big Creek. They used to go up there. That's where you go to Calder and turn up and go up way up there. There was a
Well, that's
CCC camp.
Avery's up that
but
way.
wasn't
Yeah,
there
but that's,
something up on
Avery's
the,
another 25,
Yeah.
30 miles.
up on the Palouse? Wasn't there?
Seems like there was a CC,
But you
yeah.
want it that
Up,
far away,
oh,
Avery,
yeah.
about Avery, because that's what he talks about.
I kind of look at it as, if the person is from this area,
Well, he worked for PFI forever.
yeah, wherever they would have had that experience, I still
That
think
was CCC.
it would be important to the area to know what the history
Yeah.
was.
Mhm.
you
Because I
know.
know we parked our trailer one time, this big slab of cement up on Big Creek, and someone said that was part of a CCC camp
yeah.
up there. We used to go up there and fish. One year there were so many ticks, I said, you'd never take me back, and that was in the 70s, and I never have been back.
See, there was one at Lake Chocolate too.
Yep.
Yeah,
Those
it was.
buildings are still there.
That was.
Is that the ones that they have for camp?
It was 4-H camp. Now, I don't know what they're
I
using
think when I
for
was a
now.
kid, wasn't
What
it
kind of
camp our
questions
camp?
do they ask? Maybe we could get
I
some
went
ideas
4-H
of
camp there.
questions off of these things we have. Outfitters and guides,
You don't
CCC.
need that.
What were you doing immediately prior to joining the CCC? Why did you join the CCC? Yeah, this is, I'll get a copy of that and get it to
Okay,
you, and I'm gonna get a copy of this for you.
Okay.
And,
Some of that she might have whatever the kids filled out for when they were, whatever one of Julie's kids filled out for. So I don't know how complete it was. But I will work on this.
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
trying to think who else.
things, would she know anything about the hospital or about the hotel?
Jerry is born in the hospital.
Okay. so
Now,
we don't have a whole
Patty
lot of
would know
information.
anything about the hotel. All you have to do is
Oh,
ask
that's right,
Patty.
Yeah.
that's right. Patty would know about.
Patty would know about the hotel. She lived in it for years. She
Yeah.
talks about it a lot.
Um,
She would be yeah.
They came here in about
What'd she say?
probably 46 or
She was in
7.
about the fifth,
Dig up if we could.
That's what I was just gonna
fourth or
say.
fifth grade.
Probably 40.
Do you
they
know
probably
anybody that
scored
knows
7.
anything about the boarding houses?
The old Japanese boarding houses.
Any
Joe Cater would know.
Alfred probably does, he talks about it.
What did you call it?
boarding house, the
The
Japanese?
old Japanese boarding house.
And where
There
was
were-
that?
There were several boarding
It
houses.
was up by
weren't
the
there?
hospital, in that area, wasn't it?
And then there were boarding houses right past the old confectionery,
Yeah.
back of the Excel store now, on that.
I have a key, a leather key that says Potlatch Boarding House on it. I have no idea which one it's for, and at the same place I found a key that said the Potlatch Hotel, which I gave to Patty to add to her. Jerry says, you're doing, oh, he had a fit when I gave
I
that
had
away.
some stuff from the hotel.
And I said, why not give it to her?
What I
She's
did
got
with
a
it?
neat collection,
Yeah.
it's sitting in this drawer,
Yeah.
so I gave it to her. But the boarding house one I've kept. See, Trudy Hogelbaum's house is a boarding house too.
Oh, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think there were Japanese boarding
That was for
houses,
the teachers. I
where the
think.
VFW hall is now. I think from there on up, and the bakery was formerly a Japanese boarding house.
Oh, it was?
But the bakery was in the bottom of it when Pelton's took it over. Now Sally could tell us that, see.
Yeah.
Did you know Mrs. Lemon, do you remember Mrs. Lemon? She cooked at the hospital. She
Yeah.
had snow white hair. My mother and I used to go visit her, and it smelled so good in there. The rolls, and she was, what's her name? Can't think of her first name.
Janice was her daughter.
Lemon Creek Road.
I'd like, oh, is that right?
Sounds
I'd like to
familiar.
get a picture
told
of
that.
the town blown up big enough that you
Oh.
can see things. You know,
Mhm.
we've got lots of pictures that are so
Right.
far away, you can hardly tell what they are. I want to know where, you know, where some of those bigger buildings are.
I'm
boarding
sure,
houses and things.
Alec Bull probably
Could tell you.
yeah, he probably has all kinds of pictures.
I'll bet Stuart By could tell us some of that too.
Can you get him
because
over
he-
here?
Yeah, because
I never
his
heard
dad
of it. Who's
emptied
that? Who?
the,
Stuart, who?
honey hut.
Stuart
Bye.
Bye? Don't you remember the Bye brothers? Their dad,
I never heard of the Bye brothers.
do you remember hearing about the Potlatch houses that had no bathrooms? They had the,
Oh, yeah, they had the
the little tray boxes in the woodsheds.
attached to the wood, yeah.
His
No.
Go
dad,
down
Oh,
the alley and
jeez. You missed it all.
I have only been here 40 years, you guys.
Stuart Bye's dad made a living raising, what, 7 children or something like that. He drove a horse wagon and pulled straw in that and replaced the straw in these trays in these old woodshed.
he
They
has
were
to scoop it
outhouses,
out.
but
He had to
he
scoop it out.
emptied the trays and put in new straw.
Oh, they used straw.
And that
Good
was his
job.
job, and he raised his family with that and some farming.
Wow, that would have been fun.
Well, I
I've,
don't,
Well, that, you know, it was a very dishonorable job, but he didn't feel dishonored, and those kids, they had a band of their own, they played for dances out there at Riverside.
I've dug a
and
lot of
Kennewood.
dumps, and there's a couple outhouses I'd like to dig, and I know they're not old enough yet. I mean, they may be 30 years old, and I will not dig them,
Oh,
because you can find some of your best bottles.
Oh,
I
yeah.
collect
Throw 'em
bottles.
down
oh.
You know, some of, like
Well,
in
some
the,
of these are going to be, you know, these are 100 years old.
yeah,
You just gotta get some permission to go under those. Those old-
where are they?
Oh,
all over town.
all over town,
The
every house
first,
in town.
well,
had one.
the last street didn't.
Oh, the last
Maple
year?
didn't. Because my aunt and uncle lived down first block, I think, when they lived here. And then when they got to move up to Maple Street, and they had a bathroom inside, and that was just a
Well,
thrill.
we
Well,
moved
not
it.
Hill
See,
had
I think
bathrooms too,
well,
didn't
see,
they?
when we moved
Huh?
to our old house,
And Nob Hill had bathrooms.
in 60, we moved into it in 62, and that place had been empty for a few, couple years. There was an outhouse, and I know approximately where it was. And of course, you know, I didn't move into the house until he put a bathroom inside the house, you know, the old place that we used to live.
Oh, yeah.
And there was an outhouse out, and I know roughly where it is, where it was. I don't know how far, I think we built the ground up quite a bit, the yard, to get to it. But see, the one that's just sitting there that Violet and Fred used to use, that's all they had when we got married, was an outhouse.
Oh,
That's all I had.
That's all I had.
Till
for
19
years.
Till 1940.
Well,
Yeah.
Jerry
It
was
was later than that when I had my first
Jerry put
indoor
the
bathroom.
bathroom,
After you were married, you still, oh.
Jerry put the bathroom in Violet's house after we moved to the, so it must have been about, let's see, we had a bathroom, and of course, we had a trailer there. And we had a bathroom. We got married in 59, and then we moved to he remodeled the old house in 60, we moved in 62, January of 62, and I think 62 or 63, Violet got a toilet in her house.
See, my mom
That's
got
when
hers
they
in
got theirs.
55, the year I was
Right.
married. She got her plumbing when I left, she got the plumbing.
My
And then I
mother,
didn't get mine till 61.
my mother and dad built this little house down here, right at the Y, that little square house that Marvin Bain had his shop in there, I guess. I don't know what else is in there right now. It's right there
Oh,
on the
right on the
corner.
corner, the one
My mother and dad built
that has
that in
the fence around.
1941.
Well, you mean the
Oh.
house, and then the
That
vet,
little court-
the
The
little
vet
vet thing?
house, the vet house,
The vet house?
Well, it used to be,
yeah.
Yeah, okay, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
yeah. It used to be, not now. The one
Yeah.
now is where Ella Stevens lived. The one
Yeah.
out at
Yeah,
Riverside,
correct.
right at the
Corner.
junction.
Right at the junction.
Oh,
Right at the junction there,
Oh,
at
okay.
Riverside.
It's where-
There was a gas station across the street that old
Yeah,
Ed Welch.
Ed Welch's station.
Gas
Yeah,
station.
I
I have
remember
a
all
book of
that.
matches from that place.
And Mother and Dad built that little house in 1941. And that was the first electricity and running water my mother had.
In
And
41?
she died in 1943.
Oh, dear.
41, that's pretty
So
good.
is that where you
And-
lived when you were?
When I came from Washington DC back to Potlatch, I stayed with Dad there till Jim came home from the service.
Gregory. Right.
Well, when
Gregory Place, of course.
I was in the 6th grade in Pullman, we didn't have a refrigerator. Because I remember the Iceman coming down and leaving his little block, coming in and leaving
Oh,
his
Mom
block.
didn't have a refrigerator till
Ice.
52.
But we moved in on Elm Street up there in 1945 and we had a bathroom. Jim and I moved from Dad's house to Elk because we had Dan born and he was a little hard on Dad's house, so we thought we'd better get into one of our own. Yeah, that wasn't much of a house.
You were on
but
Elm Street, you were uptown a ways, so they
Well,
had
I
that.
took
You should ask Ron Dixon if there was an outhouse
You're
when they
up on
bought
that.
that place. If it's old enough, I think it was, I wouldn't bat an eye, but I still don't think the one at Fred and Bob's is old enough. I wouldn't dig it, but I keep forgetting how many times we've had a backhoe out of our place. They could've gone up there and scooped out the first 3 or 4 feet out of it, then I'd dig it. I love bottles. You ever see some, I mean, and the walls of the old bunkhouse where Elmer used to stay, you know, I found a couple real doozy whiskey bottles.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're beautiful. You know, you hide them up in the,
Oh, sure.
that's what, see, women do with their poison bottles and stuff. They drop them in outhouses so the kids wouldn't get them.
Oh, I see. Huh,
And the husbands used to probably do the same thing with the whiskey bottles.
yeah.
Anybody remember Dr. Wygant's dental office?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You got one of my teeth.
Never
Yes.
heard of it.
Didn't put a spacer in.
I drew blood off of his thumb one time.
Oh, he was rough, wasn't he?
Darn right. Terrible.
You know, I just met his wife recently, or saw her recently.
Marguerite.
Yeah, is she still in Stoughton or where was she?
No, she's in,
No,
Lewiston.
she's in Lewiston.
Her daughter and
Patty.
his daughter and
You can have 'em between or
Patsy,
something.
Patsy, I guess her name.
Patty.
Patty, yeah.
Patty White, yeah.
And her mother were down at Phyllis Laird's at her 60th birthday.
Oh,
I didn't realize she was still alive.
yeah, I talked to her on the phone.
She
was
looks-
my
Another one that would have a lot of history is Malcolm
music
Renfrew.
teacher.
Oh.
and
I'm going
English.
to
I
do
loved
him,
her.
I've already
She was
said
great.
You know, she would be
He'd
a
know
real
a lot
good
about
source.
a lot of
Yeah.
these
If
buildings.
She looked really
You
good.
know, I think one question.
Her voice.
I think I'd
She
like
has
to
a problem
see
with her
asked
voice
Uh-huh.
now.
of everybody is.
But she
because,
was here for
this is
years.
Potlatch
Yeah.
and because it was a company
She was
town.
great. I loved
Start
her.
by asking everybody if they had an association with Potlatch.
You had to get in here. You couldn't live here unless you did.
Well, I mean, like, some people didn't live in town, you know, if they lived out in a farm, you know, did they bring egg, did they sell eggs, did they
Right,
sell
to the
cream?
stores.
And,
How would
and
you
find
work-
out what the associations were, even if they didn't work for the mill, or even if they didn't live in town, and find out.
They could shop here, but they couldn't, yeah, they could
Uh-huh.
What
shop here
would
and
be
they
the
could deliver
question, were you
cream and eggs and-
associated, how were you
couldn't live-
associated with the Potlatch Corporation?
Yeah, well,
You couldn't rent a house unless you were, they were company houses.
Right.
My mother sold eggs and butter, peddled them in Potlatch for
That's
my
right.
music lessons.
okay, now she got to peddle them though,
She did.
house to house,
She did,
Oh,
she
yeah.
had regular customers.
but then some of them took it to the Merc, right?
Well,
Yeah,
if-
the Merc
if-
bought
If
it.
she couldn't sell them, then she took them to the mercantile.
See, I don't know if
Oh,
Violet
and
and them would do, because they went to
allow that.
Palouse.
See,
They
and,
did too.
But she got paid for
Until
it, and then
we
she
came to
paid,
school here, we
What
didn't.
would the phone be ringing
50
down
cents
there?
or $1 for my music lesson.
uh-huh.
Would the phone be ringing?
Downstairs, police office maybe.
Oh, it might
Ambulance?
be over here, they're just leaving a message or something.
Oh.
It's, yeah, because, we're talking about the first exhibit in the library to be about, the community, you know, and so even though we're taking history from everybody, you know, I think we want to get some associations and get as much information as we can about the community itself, so we can put some of those things together.
So, when you put it together, are you going to take quotes from different people on different subjects? Is that what you're going to do?
I'm guessing we will be picking a lot of quotes out if we find good quotes, you know, like, a couple of guys that have worked for the mill didn't finish school, but they consider the mill their alma mater. You know, that's how important it was to them. You know, the mill gave them something important in their lives that they didn't receive in a formal education.
That's right.
And so, you know, we're going to be taking quotes like that and using them, I think, with our pictures. And so the more information we get from people, you know, the more we can put into that, because otherwise we have to go out and find our information from other sources. And we'd personally rather just get it from the people that are here.
Right.
What's the projected opening of the library?
I'm
I see that.
guessing
Is
by
there-
fall.
I see
This
they
fall?
started.
This
When
year.
did they start? I see they were digging.
They were
Oh,
digging,
they-
they started a couple weeks ago,
Yeah.
the rain they had to stop. But see, once they get started on the building, I don't think the architects are gonna let it drag on for very long. You know, they don't like to have to run back and forth for months to get a building built.
Do you have Castello Com?
Yeah,
They're great.
yeah.
Who?
Al Lewiston, Castello Com.
Greg Costello
Greg.
and Larry Combe, and,
KOM?
they've done they've done work up
Like
here, and I
it's school.
think they're great.
We worked with them. They worked with us with the school remodels and.
So I think they'll push to get it done, and I'm hoping by, September or October that they build the building.
I didn't know it was gonna be that soon.
Wonderful.
Go fast.
Well, it's like any other building. They've got it planned, and they've got the dollars for it now, so now it's time to get done.
It's completely paid for now, isn't it? I mean, you've got enough money to put it in.
We've got enough money, I just hope they can stick with the budget. I'm hoping they don't have any trouble there.
I didn't know they
Because
were-
site work was a lot more than expected.
I didn't know they were planting trees the other day.
Oh, yeah.
Scenic Six.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I saw them out.
Yeah, they've got a tree
Yeah, we
committee.
came by.
They're gonna be doing more tree work in town because, they wanna get the, Tree USA or Tree City USA designation.
Oh.
Maybe you've seen that in other places.
Oh,
And if you have, trees, see, in Potlatch planted trees when they built the city.
Oh,
So
there
we've
were
already
trees,
got a
yeah.
start.
There were a lot
They're
of
going to inventory all the trees and do some more planting and things, and hopefully sometime along the line, they get this, Tree City USA designation.
Did they, follow some of the plans that Leanne Boss had made?
Yeah,
Did they?
uh-huh, yeah.
Because, see, I was gonna go down and help, and I didn't even know they were doing it. I ran into the bank, and it was a nasty.
Oh, it was
It was
terrible that
cold.
day.
It was
Yeah.
snowing that
I
day.
thought,
It's
I,
on,
I was surprised.
Oh, it
You know
is?
that you wanted, it kept on.
it's on.
I didn't realize that they were doing it that day.
Did the Forest Service help out with that?
Yeah,
It looked like they were.
yeah, Suzanne Lay works for the Forest Service, and she wrote the grant and kind of arranged things. People from the Forest Service came, Potlatch Corporation sent people.
Oh.
There were volunteers, kids from the school came down, Boy Scouts were supposed to be helping,
Saw a lot of people.
but it was cold.
It was a horrible day.
That
Saw 'em
one year,
out
I
there.
can't figure out how they planted it. Someone must have had waders on.
Yes.
That one over, we went by there and we
It's a
were
willow.
walking. I said, how in the heavens did they plant that
Yeah,
tree?
yeah. She had boots on, and
Because they're still.
I had snow boots on, and I couldn't go out, or my feet would have been wet.
Yeah.
But Suzanne had rubber boots on. Okay, what other questions could we ask? Let's see.
Some of the old teachers are gone.
Elsa Higgins was a teacher, I heard.
I remember Mrs. Sanders from Onaway was talking in West Cove. I don't know of anybody that ever knows her or knew of her or what her name was Mrs. Sanders, and that's all I can remember. Doris Kimman might remember her, because that was probably,
West Cove?
yeah.
Doris was my teacher.
Isn't she about
In the
one of
sixth
probably
grade.
the oldest potlatchers around?
And,
Joe
no,
Taylor.
Dorothy Anderson
Yeah,
was
she's
my
older
teacher.
than Joe.
Doris
grade.
is 96.
She
She's
is.
still clear-headed,
week.
yeah, she's still,
And her mind is just as
I
sharp
know.
as the day she taught school.
It
she's
is.
gotta be one of the oldest here. So how's
She's got a
Joe?
bunch of this stuff right here on, from these cards. Have her
She
tell
still
about
live
them.
alone?
Did she live there all winter by herself? And she didn't leave during the winter? Didn't see her?
She goes for holidays and stuff over to see her, to stay with her niece.
She's
but-
going over to her niece now for a few days.
Yeah, it's her birthday. She usually
Yeah.
goes over there for her
Mm.
birthday.
My first grade teacher lives in Lewiston, Joyce Slocum.
Oh, you could interview her?
Yeah. And she she used to live with the Guernseys in Princeton. The teachers, unmarried teachers couldn't live by themselves, they had to live with her
Church, I
family,
could get-
so she could, yeah, I've
Got
got to
them
go
to
see
tell
her.
about that one.
She
Think
taught
it's
at
a
Chambers
good-
Flat
Florence
and
Anderson on
Princeton, and then she taught
the
Potlatch
Presbyterian
too.
church.
She has some
Sorry.
story.
That's a really good idea, Ruth.
Card
Because-
section.
Yeah, cards
yeah.
like that, because that would help help somebody like me who doesn't know all those names to kind of get things sorted out.
Yeah, see, I don't,
You could make, you know, cards for all kinds of buildings or
Well, that's what I've
events
got
or,
here. That's what I have
schools
here.
and, uh-huh.
I have, I'll just read them off. Potlatch, the big new high school, Potlatch, the grade school, the old one and new, and the new school and the old high school, the big one. And the bakery, and the barber shop, creamery, dental office, gymnasium, this old red barn over here, hardware store, hospital, hotel, library. Elva Metcalf was one there when I came. Mercantile.
did you mention the theater? Did I hear you mention the theater?
I don't think that's on here.
Yeah, Al
On-way
Nygaard
store.
ran the theater.
Who
We
was
did
it?
Al Nygaard ran the theater.
Would Pauline?
On-way school,
Probably
yes,
would probably
yes.
know something.
On-way school,
We've got,
What about
Shop.
Charlotte Johnson?
shoe shop, railroad depot in the
She always
bus,
been here?
confectionery. Oh yeah, there's the Union Church.
Yeah,
And
they,
main office, City
as
Hall.
far as I know, they've been here forever.
Princeton School,
She's
West Coast School,
She
Princeton
Bowler?
Store,
Yeah.
East Coast
Yeah.
School,
She and,
Legion Cabin,
Her
Japanese
sister.
boarding
Yeah,
house,
she died.
Harvard
Yeah.
Store,
what's their name?
Howard.
Yeah,
Harvard School,
Adeline.
Adeline.
the bank, Lamb
Talk to
School,
Charlotte.
I'll interview
and
my
Lutheran
brother.
Church.
the Union Church, you know, we've got a
Sure.
picture of
The
a
great
Union
big
Church,
Union
and
Church.
it's, well, one of the pictures, it's sitting here, and it's like you're looking at the corner of it, this way,
Right.
and then up above it, there was